Welcome to the yoga method. We are going through a Vinyasa class today, all levels, lots of modifications always on offer for you. So come and join me at the top of your mat, or if your mat is lengthwise, it'll be the left end of your mat. Big toes touching or feet hip distance, bringing hands to Anjali Mudra and closing down our eyes. Breathing deliberately into this moment, into your body. And maybe setting an intention, only if you wish, or dedicating your efforts to someone. Taking one more full, deep, conscious breath in. And on your exhalation, opening your eyes. So Ujjayi breathing if possible, so breathing with sound. On your inhalation, let's let our hands rise, reach, pause, and look to our thumbs. And on the exhalation, please just catch the tops of your knees for support. A little bit of ankle, knee, hip mobility as we circle the knees a couple times, one direction, and reversing the other way. So dorsiflexion as we move forward, and then just feeling how the knees are feeling. Come into stillness before you lift your head, lift your heart, and then easing your way into your forward fold. Please take a moment to really consciously release your head, relax your shoulders, and at the same time, a slight shift into the balls of the feet as you deliberately lift through your pelvic floor and draw your navel towards your spine. Let's take 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in and out. On the in-breath, just lift your heads, lift your hearts looking forward. Before we step our right leg way back, release your knee. And as you do, check your front knee is right above your ankle and your heart is resting upon your knee. And then deliberately engage your core as you lift your fingertips off the earth and see if it's possible to take your arms behind you. If you need support, just pop your hands onto your thighs instead. So variation 1, we look like this. Variation 2, just sending the arms behind us. Engaging through pelvic floor, through the abdominals. And see if you can also bring your right glute to life. Just one more breath in. And out. On the inhalation, let the hands rise high. Square the pelvis, checking hip and knee alignment. And then descending into the hip as far as it feels good. Make your torso a little longer. Perhaps lifting your eye gaze. Feeling the breath, feeling the connection to Mula Bandha, your pelvic floor. Taking one more full, deep, smooth breath in. And on your exhalation, grounding your hands, lift through your back leg, slide to your high plank, and moving through your knees or your toes to Chaturanga. Eyes forward, belly strong. Lay low to baby cobra. Or if your body's feeling warm and ready, you're welcome to move into your upward facing dog. Before we move ourselves up and back, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers, spread your toes. Bend your knees as much as you need. And in your first down dog, just inviting a little bit of movement here. Rolling through the shoulders, pedaling out through the heels. Just clearing cobwebs, releasing tension. We're finding our stillness, and you might find you need to walk your feet a little bit closer. I invite you to stay in your down dog or even rest in child's pose before exploring the option of taking your left hand to your right calf or your Achilles. A gentle gaze underneath your right arm. Firmly press into your right hand. Taking 2 more breaths. One more full breath, please, before grounding the hand. And then let's lift through the right leg. Pelvis level. Press into your hands. Really send your legs back. Gazing at your left big toe. Finding 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in. And on your next inhalation, lift to the tips of the toes, step between your hands. Help yourself if you get stuck. And then grounding your back knee. Right knee over right ankle, heart right above. A little test to see if you could lift your hands, and then perhaps sending them behind you. Deliberately loop your shoulders up, back, and down. And just a reminder, if it's not feeling good, to support yourself instead. How long can you make your arms? How deliberately can you lift through your core? And can you find that smooth, deep, audible breath? Just one more full breath in and out. Please stack shoulders above your hips. Reach your arms as far overhead as it feels good. And then descending into the hip flexor on the left. Reach a little longer through your arms, creating a slight baby back bend if it feels delightful. Reconnect pelvic floor, core, and your left glute. Taking 2 more breaths. One more full, deep goodbye breath in. And on the exhalation, frame your foot, lift your back leg, slide to your high plank, lowering through your chaturanga on knees or toes. Baby cobra or upward facing dog before choosing child's pose or downward facing dog. Right hand is reaching for your left calf, Achilles. Really stamp your left hand down as you turn to gaze underneath your left shoulder. One more breath before we gently replace our right hand and begin to lift through our left leg. Square your pelvis, gazing at your right big toe, and dynamically press into your hands. Dynamically stretch through your legs. Let's take one more full deep breath in together. And on the exhalation, simply land your foot back to your downward facing dog. On your in-breath, let's come to the tips of our toes. On our out-breath, bend the knees looking at the end of your mat, walking or hopping if you're ready. Lift and lengthen once you arrive. Exhaling into your forward fold. Come to Utkatasana, so that means we're bending our knees a lot. Check that your big toes are aligned, your knees are together. And then reaching your hands high if it feels available. Draw the hands to your heart. Just check that you can lift your toes. And then turning so your left elbow is finding your right thigh. Now the moment we do that, the left knee will desperately want to slide forward. But we are going to keep the knees aligned, pressing down in order to lift and gazing to the floor, to the side, or maybe looking over your right shoulder. One more breath as we find a little bit of heat in the legs. And on the exhalation, return to the middle, but immediately come to the other side. So check your big toes, check your knees, and then pressing down in order to lift and revolve. The pelvis is lower than the shoulders. The weight is more in your heels than your toes. And we're finding smooth, deep breath. One more, please. And on the exhalation, release your twist and ease your way into your forward fold. On the inhalation, lift your heads, lift your hearts before stepping your right leg way, way, way back. Deja vu, variation 1, we're landing, we're lifting the fingers, we're sending the hands. Variation 2, we're powering into our back leg instead. So roll your shoulders, energize your core, finding this dynamic connection from the head to the heel, from the top of your shoulders to your fingertips for 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in and out. On the in-breath, bend your back leg, which will be your right. Send your arms overhead. So variation 1, we're on the ground. Variation 2, we are stacking shoulders over ears. Lengthen through your arms, lengthen through your torso, but then descend into your legs. Listen, could you possibly lift through your left heel? So balancing on the tips of your toes, feeling your strength. for 2 more breaths. Just 1 more breath in before landing. Listen, just open to a warrior 2. So lovely after all that. Check hip and knee alignment. Your knee is right above your ankle. You're stretching dynamically through your legs and through your arms. Gazing to your middle fingernail as we stay and breathe for 2. 1 more good wide breath in. And on your next inhalation, lengthen, turn your toes towards me, and then spin your right toes out as you move into Skandasana. So variation 1, this is where we're staying. Variation 2, hands can come to the earth. And variation 3, we're rolling our toes towards the ceiling. Draw the toes back, energize your quadricep. Option to bring your hands to heart center if it feels good to your body. How still can you make the body, but allow the breath to continue to ebb and flow. 1 more full deep breath in before we release our hands. We lift through the hips. You're going to come all the way back to the top of your mat. Frame your foot, please, and slide to your high plank. Traveling through your chaturanga. You're energizing and opening into your baby cobra or upward facing dog before lifting ourselves up and back, downward facing dog. Left hand, right ankle, only if it feels appropriate. Stay and breathe for 2. 1 more breath. Grounding through that hand, lifting through your right leg. Please open through your pelvis this time. Square your shoulders. Be as long as you can through your arms, through your spine, through your legs. Stay and breathe for 2. 1 more full breath in and out. Float to the tips of your toes. Step between your hands. Variation 1, we'll ground and send the arms behind us. Variation 2, we're powering into our back leg. Roll your shoulders. Energize the tips of your fingers. Please check your alignment and then breathe. 1 more full deep breath in and out. Bend your knee, land it if you like. Take your arms overhead. Square the pelvis, lengthen the torso, and then sink just a tiny bit more. Final variation, could you lift through your right heel? Really challenging all of those intrinsic muscles in the ankle, strengthening through our gastrocnemius and our soleus. Take 2 more breaths. 1 more full deep breath in before we're opening to warrior 2. So hip, knee alignment, knee over ankle, lengthening dynamically through your fingertips, descending into your right knee. How powerful can you make your left leg? How smooth can you continue to breathe? 1 more full deep breath in before moving to your Skandasana. Turn your right toes in, left toes out. Excuse me while I turn my back on you. Variation 1, hands on the thigh. Option 2, hands on the earth. And variation 3, rolling toes to ceiling. Hands can remain on the floor, or you're welcome to bring hands to prayer. Please deliberately energize your right quadricep. Lengthen through your spine. And take 2 more breaths. 1 more full deep breath in. And on the exhalation, we'll all ground our hands, lift our hips, pivot towards the top of your mat into a low lunge. Slide to your high plank. Eyes forward, knees or toes. Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhaling, Adha Mukha Svanasana. Please take right hand to your left calf or your Achilles. Spin and look underneath for 2. Grounding through the right hand, lifting through your left leg. Pelvis is open. Eye gaze on your right big toe, but really dynamically press into your hands. Long, strong arms, spine, legs for 2 more breaths. One more full, deep, generous breath in. And on that exhalation, just land your feet in your down dog. To the tips of our toes together as we breathe in. On the out breath, bend your knees looking at the end of your mat, walking or hopping. Lift and lengthen once you arrive. Exhaling into your forward fold. Bend your knees to your Utkatasana. Please reach your hands forward and then draw them to your heart. Left elbow, right thigh as we check toe alignment and knee alignment. Please shift the weight into your right foot and see if you could lift your left heel, maybe lifting your left foot. Steady eyes, steady body, steady breath for 3, for 2, and for 1. Release your left foot, release your twist, and move into your forward fold. On your in-breath, shine the light of your heart forward. On your out-breath, step or hop before transitioning through your chaturanga. Energize and open into your baby cobra or upward facing dog before we lift ourselves up and back, downward facing dog. Last time to take that left hand to your calf. Last time to spin and look underneath your right shoulder. Just 1 more breath. And when you are ready, grounding through that hand, lifting through your right leg, open the pelvis and bend the knee. Pressing the foot towards your left, and that will require you to stamp your right hand down more. Take 2 more breaths. 1 more full, deep, beautiful breath in and out. On your in-breath, lengthen through that top leg. On the exhalation, step between your hands. Listen, we're adding a little piece. Hands go to the top of your mat, lifting into just a momentary warrior 3 before you take your right hand to your right calf. And final variation, maybe we're taking both hands to our right calf. Steady eyes, a little wobble in the ankle, finding connection to our core strength for 2 more breaths. 1 more full, deep, deep breath in before we release the hands, release the foot, release the head, and release your efforts. Please bend your knees once again to your Utkatasana. Reach your hands as you draw them to your heart. Taking that twist, please. Align the toes, align the knees. Check that the weight is more in your heels. And then press in order to lift and revolve. Weight shifting to your right. Perhaps only lifting the heel on the right foot. Or see if you can do this funny stork flamingo pose for 2 more breaths. 1 more full breath in before releasing the foot, releasing the twist, and releasing your efforts. Shine the light of your heart forward as you lift and lengthen before we step or hop, transitioning strong and powerful. And then expand and open before moving to your downward facing dog. Right hand captures your left calf or ankle, spinning to look under your left shoulder for 2. 1 more, please. Beautiful crew. Ground your right hand, lift your left leg, open the pelvis, square your shoulders, and bending through your left knee. Stamp your left hand down more than you think you need to. Lift a little more dynamically through your left hip and your navel center. 1 more full deep breath in and out. On the in-breath, lengthen, lift to the tips of the toes. Step between your hands. Send the hands to the top of the mat, lifting into your right leg any amount that feels safe for you. Maybe taking left hand to left ankle or exploring both hands to your ankle. The wobbles are exactly what we need to embrace as we challenge our balance for 3 more breaths. One more full, deep, deep breath in. And on the exhalation, release one or both hands. Release your foot, your head, your effort. On your in-breath, lifting heads, lifting hearts. And on the out-breath, bend your knees. Last time to come into your Utkatasana. But let's see if we can lift to a toe stand if possible. So balancing on the tips of our toes. Feeling the connection between the knees. The inner thigh, the pelvic floor working for 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in before releasing our hands, lifting our hips and releasing our head and shoulders. On your in-breath, lift your heads, lift your hearts, flat back extension. Familiar territory, take your right leg back. So variation 1, knee lands, hands lift, hands reach. Variation 2, sending your back leg long. And one last little variation. Variation 3, maybe you lift the tips of your toes. Maybe you're lifting that a little bit higher into another version of Warrior 3. Wherever you are, celebrating your efforts for 2 more breaths. One more full, deep, steady breath before we slowly land our toes at the back of our mat. Bend your back knee. Variation 1, we're grounded. Variation 2, we're elevated. Pelvis level, spine long. And then reminding you to perhaps explore lifting your left heel. On your in-breath, find your steadiness. On your exhalation, maybe touch the floor with your knee. Inhale, back halfway. Exhale, a little kiss of the floor if possible. Rise again. One more time, slowly descending before we all lift and open to Warrior 2. Just a moment here with hip and knee aligning. Strengthen the legs as we descend. One more full, deep, deliberate breath. And then lengthen, turn, and place your hands on your right thigh. Option 1. Option 2. Variation 3. And now variation 4, opening on a diagonal. If you'd like to do a half bind, left hand to the curve of the lower back. Full bind, taking that right arm around your shin. Roll your thigh open, perhaps looking over your left shoulder. One more full deep breath in and out. On your in-breath, reaching high. And on that exhalation, ground your hands. Lift through your hips. And all I'd like you to do is pivot towards the other end of your mat. Take a moment just to catch your breath. And then when the time is right for you, lift through your back leg and find your low Anjani Asana. So variation 1, knee grounded, hands sweep. Variation 2, you're powering into your back leg. And variation 3, we shifted the weight and we began to explore another version of Warrior 3. Level the pelvis, a little softness in your standing leg, but dynamically lifting only as far as you feel safe for 2 more breaths. One more full, deep, deep breath in before we slowly land our airplane, our Warrior 3. And once you are ready, you sweep high. That reminder to stay low if that is your preference, or hovering. We're all exploring lifting through our right heel. And then final variation, take a breath in together. On the out breath, we kiss the floor with our knee, and then we rise back to the midpoint. A little descent, ooh, rising up. There's only one more. Keep your left glute powerful. Ready, pause, hold. And we all open and meet in Warrior 2. Hip and knee alignment. Shoulders stacking over the pelvis. Dynamically stretch your mat apart for 2 more breaths. One more before taking our last Skandasana. So shifting the weight to your left leg. Option 1, option 2, and variation 3. Diagonal the arms if it feels available. Looking to that top hand if it feels right. Half a bind, flip your right hand, curve of your back. Full bind, flip the other thumb. And see if you can find your fingertips or your wrists behind you. Roll your heart open. Looking over your right shoulder if your neck will allow. Last 2 breaths. One more full deep breath in and out. Reclaim your diagonal before grounding the hands, pivoting towards the top of your mat. And then we all step our feet together on the in-breath. Exhale into your forward fold. Beautiful crew. Bend your knees, come to Utkatasana. But I'd like you to keep your hands on the floor and just balance on the tips of your toes if your knees will allow. Variation 1, hands staying grounded. Variation 2, if this is not feeling good to you, you'll just take a seat and you'll come with me into a twist this way. So you'll take your left arm in front, right hand behind, taking a little twist in a seated position. If you're still on the tips of your toes, we are doing the same movement. So we're going to reach up and over, but we are grounding our hands just on the long edge of our mat. So from here, side crow crane is an option. So variation 1, this is where we begin. We're just working on the hand position. Variation 2, you begin to shift your weight so your knee catches your elbow, and then maybe you'll feel safe to pick up your feet. So finding connection to your core, to your breath, for one more full deep breath in before we gently land. So remember, if you're seated, you'll take a twist the other way with your left hand behind you, right hand catching your thigh. If you're exploring the prep pose for Sadbhakasana, you'll lift your right arm up and over, and you'll just press your hands into the earth. Stepping stone is to shift the weight. You don't have to pick up your feet, but if you feel safe, the feet get light, the eyes stay really steady, and there's 3 breaths remaining. For 2, and for 1. Safely land, and if you're not already seated, let's all safely make our way there. Please lengthen out your legs. A moment of celebration always as the standing part of our sequence ends. So inhale, lengthen. And when the time is right for you, just ease your way in to your forward fold. We can bend the knees. It's more important to keep the heart lifted, moving your ribs towards your thigh instead of worrying about getting your nose to your knees. So we're all steadying our eyes towards the big toes, softening through our shoulders. Let's take 2 more breaths. 1 more, please. And when you're ready, lift your heads, lift your hearts. And from here, please slide your right foot into Janu A. Bending through your left if that feels best for you as you take a breath in. And then ease your way, long spine, lifted chest, holding your thigh, your shin, your foot, or if you're binding, right thumb and index finger holding your left wrist. Rolling your right ribs towards your left thigh. Just 2 more, please. 1 more. On your inhalation, lift your head. On your out breath, let's sit tall. From there, I'd love for you just to place your right foot above your left knee. Encourage your right knee wide, and please, the option to begin with your hands behind you. So variation 1, we're sitting tall. We're using the external rotators of the hip joint to open the right knee. Variation 2, you'll hold on to your knee and your foot, and you'll begin to draw yourself forward any amount. And the final option's a little bit unusual, but you'll place your left foot in your right foot in your left elbow, and your right elbow will catch your right knee. So once you lift up your foot, if you find that you're shrinking, please feel free just to put the foot down again. But as we breathe in, we lengthen and we envision the toes floating. And on the exhalation, we're encouraging the knees around. So on the in-breath, get tall, get long. And on the out-breath, steer so your shin is sort of parallel-ish to your shoulders. Let's take 2 more breaths. One more full deep breath in and out. We'll all return to this shape. We'll bring our hands behind us and we'll bend into our left knee. So variation 1, really proudly lifting through the heart space. Draw the toe back. And option 2, walk your heel in, but you'll need to lift your hips as well and move your pelvis towards your heel. So once you meet your heel towards your hip, we'll all take a breath in to lift the chin, to lift the eyes. And then on the up breath, bring the chin towards your clavicle, the notch between your 2 collarbones. But keep your spine long. So we're moving the heart towards the shin. Two more breaths in this modified figure 4. And when you're ready, lift your hearts. Everybody will just ease our way out of the shape that we took. And from there, I'd like for you to ground through your right foot and thread your left foot under. So take a moment to really find the lift and the length of your spine before taking a gentle twist with your right hand supporting you, your left arm hugging your right knee. How tall can you grow as you breathe in? And as you exhale, just really gently seeking a tiny bit more twist. Last 2. One more breath, please. Listen. We're going to return our eyes, and our left hand is going to find the big toe side of our right foot. Option 1, we'll sit tall, we'll return the twist. Variation 2, you'll see if you could lift this foot a little or a lot, keeping your spine long, please. And if you don't need the support of your right hand, it will reach behind you. So please deliberately turn your torso. Find length and buoyancy in the spine. Gazing down the length of your right arm if your neck will allow. Just one more full deep, deep, deep breath in. And on the exhalation, just release the hand, release the foot, release your effort. Unwind yourselves. We're coming into our boat pose, our first boat pose. So variation 1, just focus on the length of the spine and the engagement of your core. Variation 2, our hands will reach and our feet will float either a little bit or shins parallel. From here, we're going to bring the hands into this shape. We'll call this a cactus. And on your in-breath, can you reach your right leg high, your left toe low, and then just bring it back towards the midline. Extending through your left leg and return to the midline. So if you're starting on the floor instead of with your shins parallel, will look a little bit different. So you guys are going to keep going. So if you're starting from the floor, you might just lift shins to parallel and then come back down. Shins to parallel and come back down. If you're starting at the half point, one goes up, one goes down. Return to the midpoint. One goes up, one goes down. Return to the midpoint. Last 4. For 3. For 2. One more time, lengthen your version before releasing your feet and releasing your arms. We are coming through the sequence on second side, left foot above or below the knee, right leg long or bent, it doesn't matter, but our posture is primary, the breath most important, and then we ease our way forward with the hand resting on thigh, shin, or foot. Roll your left ribs towards your right inner thigh. Please stare lovingly at your right big toe, relaxing your faces, your shoulders as we breathe. One more breath in. One full breath out. On the in-breath, lift heads and hearts, easing our way up and out of that shape before crossing the left foot above the right knee. Encourage your left knee wide. Please use your hands to support you for option 1. Nothing more needs to happen. If you feel it, perfect. Variation 2, hold your foot, hold your knee, and gently draw yourselves in just a little further. And that odd third variation, left foot into your right elbow, knee into the other elbow, and then just notice what happened to your posture. Exaggerate the length, really find buoyancy in the heart. And then on the in-breath, we imagine the toes lifting a little bit. And on the exhalation, we steer the shin around. It might not move, but we're going to envision it. Inhale, float your toes. Exhale, gently steer your left hip around. So we're moving towards this idea of shin parallel to shoulders and the shin parallel to the floor, to the ceiling. Last 2 breaths. One more full, deep breath in and out. We're all going to return to this shape. And then as soon as we're there, bending into your right leg. Option 1, if you're feeling it, stay here. Variation 2, slide your foot in a little closer. And then lift through your pelvis and move your hip towards your heel. We're all drawing the toes back on the left foot. We'll exaggerate the length of the spine, the lift of our chin as we take a breath in together. And then on the exhalation, bow your head towards your heart, but leave your spine long. One more breath, please. On the inhale, we lift through the chin. And on the exhalation, we sit our hips back and lengthen through our right leg. Please ground into your left foot. Slide your right leg under and take a gentle twist, grounding through your left hand, looking over your left shoulder as your right arm hugs your knee towards your chest. So option 1, stay exactly as we are. Variation 2, you'll return your eye gaze. Your right hand will reach for the big toe side of your left foot. You could retwist from there with your hand reaching, or play with lengthening through your left leg any amount. How tall can you grow? And then gently revolving to look towards your left hand. Last two. One more full, deep, deep breath, please. Before returning your eyes, releasing your hand, releasing your foot. Last time to your boat pose. Variation 1, we're going to start with our hands forward for a moment as we lift through our hearts. And then we'll all bring our arms back to cactus. So in this shape, variation 1, on the in-breath, arms overhead, but your shins come parallel together. And then we land the toes as the elbows bend again. So just come halfway with your knees, full with your arms. Gently release. Variation 2, you're starting at the half point. You'll lengthen both legs. You'll come halfway down. Ready? Inhale. Last 3. Any option. Rest anytime you need. Last 2. And this is our last one. Inhale, reach, lift, hold, before gently releasing your feet and your hands. Finally, let's roll ourselves down onto our backs. Once you've arrived there safely, I'd love for you to hug your knees to your hearts and just gently rock for a moment. Feeling the length in your lower back, feeling the mobility of your spine before you ground into your feet. Touch your heels with your peace fingers to ensure your feet are equal. Draw your navel in, your pelvic floor engages, you tuck your tailbone, and you begin to lift through your hips, please. On your in-breath, reach for the ceiling, and then hold the ceiling with your hands, okay? So this is just stepping stones into a back bend. So option 1, feel the four corners of your feet, your hamstrings, your hips, and then draw the fingertips back so you're holding the ceiling with the palms of your hands. From there, option to keep the same shape in your hands, but you bend the elbows and your hands land by your ears. So the thumbs are closest to your ears, your elbows are squeezing in, and at the same time, you're continuing to press dynamically into your feet. I want you to pretend that you're going to push so much through your hands that your head lifts and your shoulder lifts off the floor. It's not going to happen. Maybe not today, maybe it will. But that's the strength that we're working towards. So finding energy in the feet, the hamstrings, the glutes, the pelvic floor, the core, and then pressing dynamically into your hands. Stay and breathe for 3. Stay and breathe for 2. Just one more deep, big, beautiful breath in and out. On the in-breath, reach for your ceiling. And on the exhalation, let's just let our hips, our spines, and our arms land. Relax for just a moment as you come into Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana, a butterfly, a reclining butterfly. And then once again, reach high. But this time, catch your wrists, your forearms, your elbows, and allow your arms to land just above you. How much can you let go? Just 3 more breaths. One more glorious breath in and out. Allow your arms to slowly slide down and around. Allow your knees to return to the midline. And let's end just with our happy baby pose. So stacking ankles above knees, knees above armpits. And sometimes the feet just aren't accessible. So we could hold our hamstrings. We could hold our calves. We could absolutely hold our feet if it feels good. Notice your neck. So gently tuck your chin to lengthen the back of your neck. So your forehead and your chin are level. And then we slide our shoulders away from our ears. And we allow the spine to cascade just into the floor. Tailbone heavy. And then inviting just a very gentle movement. Mobilizing lumbar spine, but also a little love for our sacroiliac joints. 2 breaths remaining. And then beautiful crew, when you're ready, find your stillness. We'll ground into our right foot. I'll snug our left leg over. Please open your wings wide. Shift your pelvis slightly to your left and allow your knees to gently descend to the right. Eye gaze to your ceiling or looking to your left. And if you prefer, right hand could rest on your right thigh. Are your shoulders equal? Are they relaxed? Could you cultivate more softness in your eyes, in your faces? And how smooth and deep could you make your breath? Just one more breath, please. Before returning your eyes, use your core muscles and your arms to safely come home. Into your pelvis, uncross your legs, recross to the other side. So a slight shift of your hips to your right, knees gently, patiently moving to your left. Snuggle your shoulders into the earth, melt them away from your ears. Left hand's welcome to rest on the thigh. And you are also welcome to turn to look to your right. Close your eyes. Soften into the sensation. 3 more breaths. 3 more opportunities to release more. One more victorious breath. Before we return our eyes, we use our core and our arms to come home safely. Center your pelvis, uncross your legs, and perhaps gather your knees to your hearts one last time. If there is anything else your body is needing, please take it. But if you are ready to come into your last few moments of stillness, we'll ground through our feet. If your back is sore, this is the shape I want you to take. If you're in final trimester, you would lift your right hip and lay on your left side. And if our bodies allow, we let the legs go long. So taking a moment to really feather your nest, creating maximal comfort in the body so that we do not need to move at all for the next few moments. Begin by deliberately softening your skin. And then could you allow all of the connective tissue So you could think about your ligaments and your tendons. But there's also something called fascia in our body. It holds us together, literally. But it also communicates. We didn't used to know that. But we now know there are more proprioceptive receptors in our fascia than anywhere else. So allow your skin to relax. Allow your connective tissue to relax. And now allow your muscles to relax. Could you allow your bones to grow heavy? And then allow your nervous system just to rest. Allow your circulatory system to slow down. Allow your whole body to relax. Beautiful crew, with your eyes remaining closed. And the awareness resting deep within your own center. Stay for as long as you can in Savasana. But if the time is right for you, we begin by breathing deeply, fully. And still allow your circulatory system, your nervous system, your bones, your muscles, your connective tissue, and your skin, allow them to remain relaxed. But at the same time, begin to invite movement back into the body. Fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, hips, shoulders, and necks. And if it feels good, reach your arms above you. Take a full body stretch from fingertip to toe. Before bending your knees one at a time, sliding your arms down and around. Gather your knees to your heart. Hug yourself lovingly. Rock your body very gently before rolling lightly to the right hand side of your body. Just linger there for one more breath before rising to a seated position, please. Any position that feels best to your body. Consciously lengthening through our spine, lifting through our hearts, melting our shoulders back and down. And our hands rising to our hearts in Anjali Mudra. If you set an intention, reconnect with it. And if you dedicated your practice to someone, just see them in your mind's eye. Sending our love, sending our hope, sending our blessings out into the world with our final deep breath together before closing our practice with a bow. Namaste. Thank you so much, dear yogis, for joining me for your Vinyasa practice. I hope to see you soon.